Sew and Tell, where sewists from fashion, theater, and indie sewing bring their different perspectives to the hottest topics in the sewing community. I'm Meg Healy.
I'm Amanda Carestio.
And I'm Kate Zaynard. Today on the podcast, we're talking about a trend we're seeing everywhere, jumpsuits. Then we'll talk about some mid-year goals in the form of some skills we'd like to strengthen. But before we get started, how was everybody's weekend?
Got some hiking in, got some sewing. Life is good.
Awesome. How about you, Meg?
Nice. I actually went home. I took Friday off, which was awesome, much needed. So I went home to visit my family for the weekend and got my hair cut and just did a lot of family time. So that was always fun.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
well,
just lots of wedding talk. Just lots of,
I
oh my
bet.
gosh, so much to do.
Of course.
And then staying glued to my Instagram stories for Mimi G's wedding.
Yes.
So that was fun to kind of see. It wasn't a lot that night, but the next day, lots of stories unfolded, which was so exciting.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Kind of stunning all around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very cool. I didn't realize it was this weekend, so I'm going to have to go check it out.
Yeah, for sure.
I myself was working on Sunday. I went to Denver Pop Culture Con.
Oh, right.
To finish up some stuff for our Con Crunch series. I got to do a bunch of interviews with our various people, so that was fun and exhausting, and I will talk about that a little bit more later. But before we jump into our first topic, this is the first time we're recording after June 1st, which was our deadline for making a garment for our significant others. So how did we all do? Did we meet our challenge? Amanda?
I was a big fail, but my husband is a patient man. He will get some iCat pants someday soon. Sorry, Billy.
And, it's not like you're me and never make him anything anyway.
Yeah, I occasionally make him stuff.
So,
occasionally.
Unlike me, who did in fact manage to succeed,
Yay.
made my husband his very first T-shirt.
Nice.
Well, I mean, it's not his first T-shirt. Obviously, he's had many T-shirts in his life, but it was his first handmade by me T-shirt.
You're like, have you ever worn something called a T-shirt? It's like, it's
This newfangled
let me
thing.
make you one.
And he really loves it. He loves the color. He loves the fit. He loves the feel.
Awesome.
Nice.
And I will put up a picture of him. He told me I could, so I will throw up a picture in the show notes page of him wearing his T-shirt all happily.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, Julian loves his. He's been wearing it, his kind of tie-dye, fuzzy, zippy that he's been wearing. So, yeah, now I'm on to the next. Now he's requesting some new summer sleep shorts. So I actually just got some fabric for that, some nice light organic cotton jersey.
Ooh, sounds comfy.
I went a little bit fancy.
He's worth it,
It's
right?
usually just like jersey scraps. I'm like, I'll make sleep shorts out of this, but this time I actually picked out like boyish fabric. Other ones have been like just really.
Are there
not
any florals in the mix?
I think there are some florals.
Nice.
Yes.
I bet you can pull that off.
Oh, yeah. Totally. So let's jump into our first topic. So love them or hate them, jumpsuits are everywhere for the season. I'm personally a huge fan of them and how you can make them so different ways. Fitted or loose, long or short, and fancy or casual. There are some special considerations and fitting issues that do go along with jumpsuits that we'll discuss. But the first question of the episode is not of the episode, but the biggest question
The big
of
one.
the episode. Jumpsuits, yay or nay?
Oh, man. That's a loaded question for me.
Yeah.
I feel
'Cause
like I was the jumpsuit hater from the beginning of this trend, but slowly, super slowly, I am coming around to them, and I have a few on my list. So
Oh, yay!
yeah. How about you, Kate?
I also kind of came into the whole jumpsuit trend with, jumpsuits? Really? Is this a thing we're doing? And I also am slowly coming around to them, slower than you, Amanda, because I know you've already sewn at least one. And I'm still in the range of, okay, I'm starting to see how they're cute, but not to the point of making one for myself. So Not precisely a nay, but not precisely a yay either.
What would be an in-between word for that? I'm just like looking and seeing if I can.
May?
May.
May. Yeah. Or meh.
May. Yeah.
Did you know my initials spell meh, M-E-H?
Oh my
I did not
gosh.
know that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? I always like that. I think that's right. It's like meh, it's me. Jumpsuits. Well, I am like if I could scream yay as like loud as I could, I would. But
Thank you for not.
oh yeah, you'll just you wait. I might get really excited talking about them. So, have you ever actually sewn a jumpsuit? And if yes, which pattern?
I have not.
You've not? No.
I have not
Okay.
sewn a jumpsuit.
Nope. Okay.
Nope.
I have sewn precisely one, but I plan to sew more of the Amy jumpsuit by Closet Case Patterns.
Nice.
It's really swingy. It's got spaghetti straps. Or slightly thicker than spaghetti straps, a tie belt, and it's just got huge legs. It kind of looks like a dress when you wear it. It really barely, looks like a jumpsuit. But I will say, just as a tangent, I have made several faux jumpsuits, and I really like that approach because it's, for me, jumpsuits have never seemed super practical.
Right.
But I love the faux jumpsuit, the top and bottoms made out of matching fabric. You tuck it in, it looks like a jumpsuit, but you can still go to the bathroom. You can still wear those pieces paired with different things in your wardrobe. And there's just not the, full head-to-toe commitment there. But I'm also really loving, I've been loving the dungarees and overalls trend.
Yes.
It's not a jumpsuit, but it still is kind of a different.
It's jumpsuit adjacent.
Yes.
It's in the family.
It's in the family.
It's
but
like a cousin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's so much, they're fun to make because you're not making pants, you're not making a top, you're not making a skirt. It's like a different category of clothing. But I love them, not truly a jumpsuit. So the short answer is one. I'm probably going to make another.
Of the same pattern? You
But
think
I do have a few on my list that I have been looking at, and maybe in a year I'll be ready to make them.
Oh my God.
That seems to be the pace that I move with this particular trend.
Yes.
Very slow.
I figure if I ever actually get all the way into the jumpsuits, it's going to be the day after they go out of style completely.
Oh my gosh.
Because that's how I go. That's what I did with slap bracelets, guys, back in the 80s. I finally got my slap bracelet. I was so excited, wore it to school. Nobody else was wearing one because they were out that day.
It just reminds me of like how Crocs are coming back in right now.
Yes.
I would have just I just threw I got them when they were trendy, and I just like recently threw them back out, and now I think I need to get another pair.
But you got to get platform Crocs, right?
Oh, I know, they're like so on trend.
It's
Platform
weird.
Crocs and jumpsuits. I think that's a great look. So I was trying to count how many, and I think I've made at least 7 jumpsuits, which I thought I would make more considering how much I love them. But yeah, I think I've made at least 7 in all different types of fabrics and silhouettes, fancy ones, sleep ones.
Oh,
just kind
sleep.
of yeah. When I went on my trip a couple years ago. I went to a wedding in Ireland for my cousin's wedding, and we were doing a bunch of different climbing. We were in Portugal and then Ireland, and then I was going to England, and it's just annoying to pack pajama, and so I just made this like sleeping romper. So I wasn't it was just one piece, but it wasn't like I don't know, but then I just loved it, and I've made a couple more, so that was fun.
Cool.
Yeah, so I made a bunch, and obviously I've only used a Berta jumpsuit pattern. I would like to maybe venture out and try another one. I think I will try that Closet Case Patterns one for sure.
It's a good one.
I think that's and that's a really great, I know we'll talk about this a bit later, but it's a really great starter jumpsuit too, because all of the fitting issues, you got to get that torso, the right measurement. A strap is a fabulous starter one because you can adjust it if it's too long or short, because the worst is when you sit in a jumpsuit that's too short-waisted, it's very, very uncomfortable.
Right.
That sounds terrible.
As you can imagine.
Totally imagining that right now.
So what goes into selecting a jumpsuit pattern? I'd just like to plug, if you want to browse lots of jumpsuits, Berta actually has 74 jumpsuit patterns in their jumpsuit category.
And there is a jumpsuit category?
There's a jumpsuit category.
So it's easy to look at them all at once.
It's easy to look at them all at once.
That's awesome.
Yes, and there's 74 of them.
So
I know.
many.
When I was going to pull that URL to put in the show notes, I knew there was a lot of jumpsuit patterns, but then when I looked at the number, I'm like, is there really 74? I was like, wow, that's crazy. So when you're selecting a jumpsuit pattern, obviously you want to know what your intended use for the jumpsuit is. It's like casual, fancy, sleep, whatever. And then they have lots of different silhouettes and also the fit too. So would you guys see yourself ever wearing one silhouette over the other? Like, do you think a fancy jumpsuit needs to be all nice and fitted, or can it be loose? Or what do you think about if you were to select a jumpsuit pattern? What do you think?
Oh, that's tough.
Like if Kate, you're like, I'm going to make a jumpsuit pattern. What would you look for?
I would probably look for something a bit loose fitting because I have a strange shape. I'd probably look for something with pretty wide legs because I tend to prefer wide legs to tapered. Depending on the time of year, I kind of incline towards sleeveless, and then that's layerable, right? If you have like a strappy one,
Oh yeah, no,
then you
totally.
can throw a shirt under it or whatever. I don't know. I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about all of the different styles and silhouettes of jumpsuits, so I would probably look for things that are pretty similar to the way I choose my other clothes, to be perfectly
Right,
honest.
like yeah. So you wouldn't just go like all crazy. For your first jumpsuit.
No, I don't think I would go all crazy with the jumpsuits, Meg.
I'm in the same boat. I would definitely go, I definitely like a boxier silhouette, so something loose and flowy. I've seen a couple designs out there that have unique features, and I'll talk about some of the ones that have kind of caught my eye lately, but I'm definitely on that kind of loose, comfortable end of the spectrum, because I definitely think about jumpsuits for summer and maybe spring, a little bit of fall. So then, like the lighter weight fabrics and things that are easy and breezy to wear, but I haven't really thought about kind of the cool weather jumpsuits, but I'm sure there are plenty of options out there.
So what intimidates you about jumpsuits, both sewing wise and wearing one? So what are like the two main things that intimidates you
Having
about
to take it
jumpsuits?
most of the way off to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I know. That's always the one.
You
definitely
guys
wearing
keep talking
one, yeah.
about like how great they are for travel and stuff. In earlier episodes, we've discussed that, and all I can think about is trying to struggle out of a jumpsuit top in an airplane bathroom. And I just can't. I'm like, that does not sound pleasant to me.
Well, I think I was getting at more travel jumpsuits as definitely don't wear one on a plane.
Yeah, maybe not
Like it's a
the
great
act of
a
traveling.
fashion jumpsuit to wear, like you could just wear it in the day.
Okay, I
Once you
see.
got
When you're
there.
at your destination.
Yes.
When you're at your, oh my gosh, that's true. You would have to have like that butt flap, that kids' pajamas.
Why are there none that include that?
Oh my gosh, why are there none that include that?
To be subtle, maybe.
Yeah, you could make a fashion like zipper. You could make it like a statement or something. If you had,
And Meg is right
my
now
wheels are
starting to
turning.
draft it in her head.
The next pattern play.
the next pattern play, guys. It's called.
I don't think jumpsuits intimidate me on the sewing so much as the wearing.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
where will I wear this? The other thing that I have been hesitant about has been, is this a trend that's going to go away? And honestly, I think having seen it out there for so long. It's kind of its own new category now, and
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna go away, or at least
I think it's just
not
become
completely.
a new piece to
exactly.
like a staple. I think it's become a new wardrobe staple,
Right.
to be honest.
I think so too.
I hope so, yeah.
But yeah, I think
I know.
that was part of it for me. I mean, definitely the practical considerations of like how hard is it to take on and take off, and that's still a bit of a I don't know, a hang up for me. But also the jumpsuit that I made is so comfortable. It's kind of worth it, to have a little bit of a fiddly bathroom experience, maybe to have something that is just like really comfortable. It's there's nothing digging into your belly. It's really it depends on what kind of jumpsuit you're making. But, I don't know. They're very comfortable.
I know with like pants and a top, you have that like midsection dig sometimes, and Well, for me, a jumpsuit is a key in the city. We kind of live now downtown near the water, and it gets super windy, and I love like flowing things, and I cannot even tell you how many times my skirt has just blown right up. And walking over the subway crates too. I love a good Marilyn Monroe moment.
But there are only so many you can stand in a day.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I really especially like a flowy jumpsuit for that particular reason. I do love that.
Well, and I have to be honest, I'm also concerned in general about the fitting, because I do have a strange shape, and I'm still 6 months. I'm 6 months into 2019, and I'm still trying to get my pant sloper to do anything that looks like halfway decent on me. So I just like sitting there and thinking about not even having like the waist separate, having to do it as one big piece like that. That freaks me out. That really does. And if I ever get that sloper good to go, then maybe I'll be able to kind of half draft my own or something, so that I feel confident that it would fit. But in the meantime, I just worry about stuff like that.
Yeah, well, my latest pattern play, I did a kind of a denim travel jumpsuit. Yeah, but I took a top pattern and a bottom pattern. So if you have a pair of pants that you love the fit of and a tank or whatever top style, you can actually overlap them and create your own jumpsuit out of two separate patterns that you like the fit of, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah,
so
it's quite awesome. And that was such a good article, how to do that that is in fact what I was directly referencing, but I probably should have been a little bit more clear about that.
Yeah, Kate, give me some credit.
I'm just kidding. Meg wrote this great pattern play. You should go read it.
It is great.
Yeah, because now I have so many more ideas too. And also, if you see a jumpsuit pattern with a waistline seam too, you can always, there's a bunch, and you can just mix and match them with different bottom silhouettes and top silhouettes and stuff like that. And you can even, what I've even heard of doing is have a jumpsuit with a waistline seam, and maybe there's only a couple occasions you want to wear them together, and then just kind of, take it out, like take that seam out, and then you can kind of wear them separately too.
Cool.
And then put them back together. You can.
I like that idea.
Yeah, you could even do like a zipper all the way around, like in a circle, like that. My sew along with all these ideas are just coming to my head like right now. That track jacket sew along that I did had the bottom zipped off horizontally. I should just do a whole pattern line of jumpsuits with like butt flaps and
there you go.
Zip offs.
Just what the world needs.
Yes.
Just what the world, like, let me know if you'd be interested in that kind of thing. Oh my gosh, that would be ridiculous. So would you guys ever wear a jumpsuit to a formal occasion, do you think?
So, as I have yet to decide that I would wear a jumpsuit to any occasion,
yeah, right.
I'm going to say probably not. Though I could see, if I felt like jumpsuits were something I wanted to wear, I could see the kind of jumpsuit that I would wear to a wedding. I mean, I would wear nice flowy pants with decorations and embroidery or beads or something like that, and I could see a jumpsuit version of that. Yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, jumpsuits feel really formal and like special.
Yeah? Oh,
so I have I have the exact opposite problem. Like, I can't figure out where to wear jumpsuits because it seems a little bit dressy for our work environment here. And I mean, I don't go to a lot of fancy dinners, and so just figuring out. The other issue is that the first jumpsuit I made is leopard print, so I think that's probably complicating the issue a little bit. But yeah, just they feel really formal and kind of statement piecey to me.
There are definitely statement pieces.
So figuring out how to incorporate that into like my daily and weekly wardrobe is still something I'm figuring out.
On our wedding website, you know how there's like dress code or whatever. So I put like cocktail attire, and the first thing I list is dressy jumpsuit.
Nice.
I'm like, please show up in a dressy jumpsuit.
Jumpsuits only.
Nice.
Jumpsuits only, guys. No, just joking.
Yeah, speaking of formal jumpsuits, are you still thinking you might do a wedding jumpsuit?
I'm still exploring some other options, but that's definitely a very good front runner.
Okay.
Cool. So I still just love that idea. So, yeah, and oh my gosh, my wedding's in like 3 months, so I got to start working on that. But
yes, you probably should. I see. You're starting to stress me out. I'm like, Meg's big hair wedding dress, but she hasn't started it yet.
I know. Well, I was seeing Mimi made her like mama dress and her reception dress all within like 3 days, or something like crazy like that. So I won't leave it till that, obviously. But
please don't do it.
I'm sure we've done. No, don't do it. So
especially not with that beautiful Italian lace. You want to take some time on that.
Yes. Oh, okay. Well, I did actually some sketches, which I hadn't done in a while. I just kind of, one night, I was sketching all these different jumpsuit and kind of dress designs. So at least I have the ideas like flowing now. So that's good. I'll keep you all updated on that at every episode for the next couple. Be like, I haven't started yet. I should map out like a deadline. I'll be like, all right, I have the patterns printed.
Yes.
That's my goal for next.
You should.
So I'll create a schedule, okay? And because I think I responded well to the men's one because I made Julian's pretty pronto after we set that date. So
okay, so here's your assignment, Meg. For the next episode that we record, you need to have your schedule laid out.
Okay, that's okay. Number 1, schedule.
Yep.
Okay. And what I also will need if I'm making a jumpsuit is my torso measurement, which is very key in making a jumpsuit. It's a very important measurement, and I'll try and get Julian to take a picture of me measuring it. And sometimes you need those measuring.
That's your torso length. Correct.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And you kind of wrap it around, because we used to do when I worked at the dance and skating wear shop, that was a key measurement because it's all like bodysuits and so we would always take a torso measurement, and it's from your shoulder tip to your shoulder tip at neck point, going like through your legs, and your legs are together. And it's just a good measurement to have because then you know kind of your back and your front, so you can make adjustments. And I'll try and get Julian to take a picture of me measuring it so you can see. And sometimes you need that measuring tape that's the one that's like a little extra long sometimes. Yeah. If you have one of those, that's really good. But I have some jumpsuit tips for success as well that I would like to go through. Yes.
Tell me some tips in case I changed my mind.
Okay. So if it's your first jumpsuit, opt for a looser silhouette with straps so they can be adjustable, and even a shorter hemline if it's a test garment. So you can make a little romper or something. If this is your first ever jumpsuit, maybe just do a little, make that, it's called the Amy jumpsuit,
That's right.
Isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, you could just crop it to shorts do it as scrap fabric. Yeah, and then once you make it, and then you leave your straps loose, and make sure you pin them into place and test sitting in it. So you sit in it, and then you make sure everything is nice when you sit, and then take it off and then lay it flat and then measure diagonally on your garment from the crotch to the center of the strap. And then you can kind of cross that with your actual torso measurement. But I'm going to do a blog post on how you implement your actual torso measurement to a paper pattern because it's kind of your across, and because you need some ease in that as well.
Right.
So there's different calculations, except especially for different fabrics and stuff too.
Yes.
If you have a knit, you don't need as much. So yeah, maybe I'll put together a nice blog post
That would be
kind
great.
of outlining all of this with some visuals and stuff. Because I do have some fabric that I wanted to make some other jumpsuits in. So
Yeah, even with
can
the
do
Amy,
that.
I think you try it on and then you adjust the strap.
Yeah,
But that
yeah.
made me so nervous because I
Yeah.
was just like, what if I get this, you don't want it
Like,
too
way too
long
short. Yeah.
and be too low, but then
Yeah.
what if I made it like a
Yeah.
little bit too tight? So a blog post would be awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I always implement that measurement before I cut it out of fabric, but straps are good for finessing
Yeah.
if it is your first, one, and then you can do some length alterations. Yeah, because sometimes it's a little much if you have like a big length variation to take it all out in the waist, so some adjustment lines are good too, above and below. So just some little tips, and yeah, expect a blog post about that soon. So I wanted to also go over next jumpsuit projects, if there is one. And so I'm assuming, Amanda, you're just making another.
I am. I'm going to make another Amy jumpsuit.
I'm making
I'm going to try. I'm
another
going to do
Amy.
it in a solid this time and see if
Nice. Oh,
that's
good
like a
idea.
little bit easier to incorporate into my
Day-to-day wear.
Day-to-day wear. And I think it will be. But there's two other ones that have really been on my mind. One has been out for a while. It's the Jazz Jumpsuit by Ready to Sew. And I believe that is a French pattern designer, an indie pattern designer. But it's just a great silhouette. It's sleeveless with a V-neck, but there are a bunch of variations built in, so you can get a bunch of different looks. I really love the look of that one, but everybody in my Instagram feed is going crazy over the Zaynard jumpsuit by Paper Theory Patterns. And I believe it's a wrap jumpsuit, and there's a bunch of different sleeve lengths, and it's just like, how many times can you look at it and see it on so many different bodies, and it looks amazing, and not want to give it a try? And it's wrap, so I think that it's comfortable, but it does give a little bit of shape towards the waistline. Somebody made one in iCat, and I was like, oh man, that is
Sold.
Yeah, I was pretty much sold. That's they've got my number there. So we'll see. We'll see how the next one pans out, and then maybe I'll expand from there.
Well,
Yates, what's yours? No, I'm just
I'm
joking.
probably not going to be making one anytime soon, but I have to say,
That's okay.
Amanda's leopard print Amy jumpsuit is pretty cute, and I have had a very few little twinges of maybe somewhere deep in my soul.
I'm bringing it in.
Yeah.
Is that going to get you to wear it to work so I can see it in real life?
Yes.
All right. So if it does happen, that's probably what it'll be.
Nice. So I was going through the jumpsuit category, and I'm going to make next. It's the trumpet sleeve jumpsuit from the April 2015 issue. And it's like almost a breezy suit. It has like a lapel. It looks like a little suit jacket with kind of loose pants. It's very, the pattern photography is on the model by the ocean, and it's just so and it's in like a white and navy striped fabric, and it's just so cute. So that's next on my list to make, and also my wedding one. If it's a jumpsuit, that's definitely next.
That should be on the list too.
And Julian wants a jumpsuit as well, like a house jumpsuit. He picked out some turquoise jersey when he was helping me fabric shop, and he goes, "Can I have just like a house onesie out of this?" And he's like, "Can you just lay out the fabric, and then I lay in like a star, and then you just trace it out, and it's just like this big bag that I wear at home?" And I was like, okay.
Wow.
Sometimes the things that he says and the things that he thinks of are just so funny. And now I'm like, challenge accepted.
Yeah.
He just wants this big bag, comfy jersey sack to lounge in. So
I love
Julian's
that.
so great.
He's great.
I know he's special. I love him.
Well, hey, before we move on, I just wanted to mention
yeah.
that for everybody listening, to tune into our Instagram feed the week of June 17th, because we are going to be doing all kinds of fun jumpsuit things, including some pattern giveaways and some fun discount codes. So make sure you're connected with us there because we'll have some good stuff for you.
The basics of sewing aren't that hard to master, but some techniques can really challenge even the most experienced sewists. Unfortunately, the best way to master a skill is to practice it, which means sometimes choosing patterns and fabrics that are harder for you so you can get the experience you need. So I want to talk a bit about mastering skills. And I want to start by asking how you guys approach a skill or technique that's unfamiliar to you.
I just try it. I don't do any research. I just say, I think I can do that, and then I fail, and then I learn from it. That's what I do.
Okay.
I definitely fall into that category, although I will say that I am kind of horrible about challenging myself in this way. Mostly because, I don't know, sewing's the one part of my life that is easy, and I don't know. I don't branch out very often, but I should. I do really like taking classes. It's not something that I have, been able to do very recently, but I do love that kind of in-person approach to learning. So, but yeah, I don't do it regularly enough.
Yeah, classes are great because you can really just narrow in on something and you can try it in little tiny steps all together. And I've managed to really learn how to do some things really well like that and make them like less scary because, you sit there and you do it on a little sample piece of fabric. Then when you have to do it on a real piece of fabric, it's less terrifying. For me, I tend to avoid a lot of unfamiliar skills, but then when I have to do them, I usually read the instructions very closely, multiple times, and then go through them very, very slowly, kind of step by step. And usually it works out, at least if the instructions are written well. And then I'm like, yay, I can do this, but I can only do it if I follow instructions very, very closely. So if I'm smart, then I practice it and learn how to do it, so that I can just do it without having to read instructions closely, but I'm not usually quite that smart. I don't know. I'll also occasionally watch a video.
Yeah,
if
me
I'm.
too.
I know there's a video on. Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but someone or other has a really good video. I'll find it and put it in the show notes for installing invisible zippers, which are so scary sometimes. So, and I'm not nearly as scared of them as I used to be because I've watched this video several times, and now I can pick up an invisible zipper and do it without really worrying too hard. Also, I have a good invisible zipper foot, which is the other vital thing.
So key to have a good invisible zipper foot is so key. Do you know what I did recently is I watched my own video from like 5 years ago to relearn a technique. I was like, how did I do that? I think it was for my jeans making course. I guess it wasn't that long ago, but it was like 3 years ago. And I was like, how did I sew that fly front again? And then I was like, oh, thanks, Meg.
Thanks, Past Meg.
Past Meg is always so
Professor
useful
Meg.
for techniques. I do that with Past Meg sometimes too. It's not quite as weird because it's not me, but
I know.
So what kind of techniques are intimidating to you guys? Or are you just afraid of nothing, Meg?
Oh, no, there are some things. Still sometimes I get just intimidated by, like, sometimes some zipper applications, like
me.
a lapped zipper. Sometimes, like, if I haven't done it in a while, or even sometimes button and buttonholes, like, it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I still just get intimidated when it comes to that step in the sewing process. I'm just like, anytime before I'm doing a buttonhole on my machine, I have that little scrap piece of that exact fabric, that how many interfacing layers there are, and I just always need to do a test. I just kind of get a little when that happens. Yeah,
zippers for me, although I will say like the fly front zipper doesn't really scare me anymore because I've made them, on jeans, but it's more like the invisible zippers and like things that are just kind of more front and center. But I think part of it is too, I prefer buttons, so I tend to sew more things with buttons and have less practice with zippers. I think too, I haven't really delved too hardcore into fitting. And again, it's because I don't usually wear super fitted things. But it would be nice to have those skills, if that, occasion came up that I did need something that was a bit more fitted. I think there are some basic things I know how to do, but I just...
like inserting boning and that sort of...
Yeah,
it's
more... I don't know. I've done a couple of things. I usually don't have to make major adjustments to my patterns, and I know my body pretty well. So, but it's definitely something that intimidates me.
I can totally see that. And I'm the opposite of you. I'm much more comfortable with zippers than I am with buttons and buttonholes. Well, I have no issue with buttons. Buttons are fine. It's the buttonholes that scare me. And I think part of it is probably because back in the day, I spent so much time. So buttons take a long time to do if you're backstage or something. And so I spent a lot of time quick rigging things. So, you take off the buttons, you put Velcro or snaps or something underneath the buttonholes, and then you sew the buttons on top of the buttonhole so it looks like they're buttoned. And so I was always going like the opposite direction. And so we never made things with buttons in them because, you made something with a zipper because it was faster. Or you made it with...
Right, for quick changes and stuff
even
like
if it didn't need a
sure.
quick change, usually you didn't use buttons. Or if you did use buttons, and it was just visual and it had some other sort of fastening. So I just never did that many of them. Yeah. And so they still make me nervous. The other thing I have, I get nervous around is anything where the placement of the needle is really, really vital. So gussets sometimes and like V-necks on occasion, plackets, certain kinds of plackets. The things where you need to sink your needle in exactly the right place. And
like a square, like a pivot.
Yes. Like if you need to pivot in exactly the right, and I'll draw my lines onto my fabric or whatever, so I know exactly where I'm sewing. But so I have a very old Singer at home, which I do better when I'm on the Singer because when I take my foot off the pedal, it stops sewing no matter where it is in the stitch. But here at work, I have all of these machines that will always finish. They'll either go all the way up or all the way down.
Sometimes when you get those fancy machines.
And that's so useful 98% of the time. But man, when you're trying to control exactly where your needle's going for a pivot or something, you're just like, stop doing that.
Stop sewing.
Or, you press the reverse button and it just does a one forward stitch before it starts back stitching. And you're like, why? Why do you do that? If I press back stitch, I want you to stitch backwards. So yes, my old Singer doesn't do that. And so I get less nervous about doing that sort of thing on that machine, but that's not always what I can do. Sometimes I need to be sewing stuff here. And
I could see how that could be an intimidating step for a... Yeah.
So it's just one of those little things I have. Those tend to make me nervous. So what skills do you guys want to improve? What's deep in your heart that you want to do better?
Well, I have been thinking a lot about, we have a serger school column in Sew News that I work on, and that has gotten me really inspired to just to sit down with my serger and take advantage of all the things that it can do.
There's some cool techniques in that.
I mean, I have been sewing for a long time, but I have not had a serger for, that whole time. It's really only been in the past 3 or 4 years that I've really started using one. But even then, I'm still, doing a lot of seam finishing and seaming for knits and stuff like that. But there's just so much to them that I don't even know about. I have a really basic kimono project that I am going to make this summer. And I think it's in a really lightweight fabric. So I think I'm going to really try to hone in on that rolled hem, which I just haven't done. It just doesn't come up very often, but so I think that's my plan.
And the sew along that I was just filming, I finished all the edges of that rolled hem, and it was awesome.
I saw those, and that really inspired me because it was such a nice finish.
Yeah. I know, and I hadn't really delved into it a lot, too, and I kind of thought that same thing. I'm like, you know what, this is a lightweight fabric, like, I have to do so many samples, and what a cool, finish, and what a different way to use a serger, definitely. And that's kind of along what I want to improve on as well, but with my cover stitch machine.
Yes.
I know there's a book by Joanna at Last Stitch. She has the Master of Cover Stitch machine, and I think I just need to, just order it, right? When she was talking about it, I'm like, I really need to get that book. But now I'm like, I'm getting that book because there's so many awesome finishes, especially me sewing so much with spandex, and I love making activewear and stuff. So I'm really wanting to learn more about that and not be intimidated by that.
I could really use some improvement on my knit finishing techniques.
Right.
And I feel like, that's there's only so much you can do kind of without a cover stitch. I mean, there's definitely options, but I tend to take shortcuts with knits. So I'm going to put that on my list too.
You want to work in?
Are you a twin needle user?
I've tried, and my machine does not like it. But
no,
I know. But but it's still it's one of those things I just need to spend more time practicing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, for me, I completely neglected to make any notes about answering this question for myself. But I think a lot of it is just that same thing, is doing the things that I'm afraid of and making myself do them, making myself do buttonholes, making myself do plackets and the neck holes that require very precise stitching, that sort of thing, to make myself just less worried about it. And dang it, I am going to do this pants sloper. I am going to make it work. And to me, that's a huge thing, because it's not necessarily a skill, but I avoid making pants a lot because I'm just like, if I try to make these, they're going to fit really badly on my body, because my body, my lower half is shaped not like the way that the things that they draft off of are shaped. Yeah. So once I get those basic pieces, then I know I can work around those to make basically anything I want to make. But I've just got to get that made, and I've got to get the fitting done, and I've got to make it work right. And I don't know, guys, it is killing me, but I want to do that so that I could start making more pants, just in general, and stop being afraid to make pants because they're not going to fit right, because I will know that they fit right. So, all right, and one last question. This one's just for fun. What advanced skills are you already good at? What's something that's tough that kind of scares other people, but you're just like, whatever, I don't even care?
I don't know if I'm really good at them, but there are things that don't scare me anymore because I've done them enough, like collared shirts, collar stands.
Yeah,
I kind of love making button-ups, but I think I've just made a bunch. I kind of have my own steps that kind of work for me. So again, not sure that they're like the most professional, perfect-looking things, but I'm not scared of them. They don't keep me from doing projects. Also, knit neckbands. I mean, I think that that's not a super hard one, but for me, I did almost solely sewed wovens for a really long time. So knits were just kind of a whole different animal, and to be able to kind of master those neckbands and feel really comfortable doing them was a big deal for me. Yeah, and jeans. They're not the most amazing jeans you've ever seen, but
I think they're pretty amazing.
I sew them.
I think they're pretty good. Yeah.
I've decided I'll actually make jeans once I get the sloper thing figured out.
Yeah, no, totally.
I decided that just this very minute, and I'm probably going to walk it back sometime in the very near future. All right, Meg, how about you?
Well, I would think like swimwear.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
I think I'm good at, and I love making them.
That's absolutely amazing that you have that skill, and that's just something you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna make another swimsuit.
Yeah, I think that's something that really intimidates people.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, mine comes back from the theater stuff. Corsetry. I've done quite a bit of corsetry in my life.
I was thinking that you would say that, and I was going to be like,
impressive.
So such a cool, like that's hard.
Yeah, it's
like, that intimidates me sometimes.
It's funny because I haven't actually done it in a really long time, and that's mostly because I'm really picky about my corsetry supplies, and if I can't find good stuff, then I'm just like, whatever, it's not worth making it if I can't make it out of the right stuff. So I haven't made one in a long time, but if somebody put down a whole bunch of good steel boning and some casing and some nice good twill lining and everything for me and put it in front of me and said, make a corset, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Yay. Awesome. So,
nice.
Yep, that's my special little thing.
Speaking of special things, we have a special offer for Sew and Tell podcast listeners.
This is a very exciting episode. We have a whole bunch of cool stuff going on in this episode.
It's a busy summer.
It is.
Over here.
Yeah.
But we were thinking a lot about skills and how, video is a really great way to do that, whether it's in person or online. So we have a coupon code that's good at both Sew Daily TV and Berta Style Academy, and it's $10 off a single course. The code is Sew and Tell 10, so Sew and Tell 10, and I'll put
Is that and spelled out?
It's spelled out.
Okay.
And I'll put this in the show notes page so you can go double check that. But so many good. There's serger courses. There's all kinds of garment sewing. So
you can learn how to make slopers. That one's really good.
Yeah, jeans.
Jeans.
All kinds of good stuff.
Yeah. Jackets and jeans.
Those are big ones.
Awesome.
All right. Well, you guys, let's jump in with SewJo. What is inspiring you guys right now besides jumpsuits? Because I want to sew a bunch of jumpsuits.
Yeah.
Okay. You go, Meg.
Oh, okay. I'll just go quick. Actually, sewing the basics is what's really kind of having me inspired right now, because I got this, organic cotton for Julian for sleep shorts. I also got myself some, and I just want to sew some basic t-shirts and tanks, because that's something that, we talked about last week is, slow fashion, like getting nice fabric and just not buying more cheap t-shirts that I just wear and then wear for a season and then, throw out. I want to, make some good basics for myself. So that's kind of inspiring me right now.
Yeah. Love that.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I spent Sunday at Denver Pop Culture Con. We were doing some stuff with our Con Crunch series, which is still up on Sew Daily TV, by the way, for free if you want to watch it, which you should because it's awesome. And of course, because I was at the con, there was cosplay everywhere because that's what the con is. So I saw, some really cool stuff. I saw beautiful ball gowns and women dressed as dragons with these awesome scales made out of little bits of fabric, just hundreds, thousands of them all sewn together, overlapping. I saw a woman wearing a dress where the skirt was all tribbles, which was
my gosh.
It was so cool. It really was.
What's that?
It's from the original Star Trek. They're these little puff balls that they end up with like one on the ship, and then they just start like multiplying. And so by the time you get most of the way through the episode, the entire ship is just filled with these little puff balls, these little animals. And so her skirt was just entirely covered in tribbles. It looked like it was amazing. Like eating her, like just the pile. It was so good. Just so many good costumes. And my problem is that when I'm at my anime convention, I get really inspired, but also I'm really tired because I've been working it all day, all weekend. And so I have all this inspiration, and then the con is a year away. And so I just lose my inspiration and I move on with my life. But the problem with this con is my anime convention is now about 3 months away. And 3 months is a very reasonable time to make a cosplay. So now I'm sitting here like, ooh, what cosplay can I make in time? And also, what can I do that I can also wear with my staff shirt? Because that's a whole extra aspect of that. So I don't know if I'll actually end up making something. It depends on whether I can work around the staff shirt. But I am feeling very cosplay inspired right now.
Nice. It's the same amount of time away that my wedding is. So
you guys.
We can do it.
I believe it's 2 weeks before your wedding.
Oh, okay. So
The con this year, I think. Maybe it's, I think it's 2 weeks. I know when the con is and I know when your wedding is. So.
How
about you, Amanda?
Well, I'm inspired about jumpsuits, quite honestly.
You said what is giving you your inspiration besides jumpsuits.
Okay. Yes, I have another thing. I do. But it's kind of similar to one that I had from a few episodes ago because it is finally getting warm. I'm kind of getting reacquainted with all my lovely linen summery dresses and makes and things. And I keep wearing, I have one pair of Burnside bibs, which is this linen overalls pattern by Sew House 7. They're awesome. I have one pair, and every time I make them, or every time I wear them, I think, I really need another pair because they are amazing. They just kind of flow, and they don't really constrict you anywhere.
They're really cute.
And they're cute. So I'm going to make another pair. Awesome. Finally going to do it.
Nice.
I'm going to commit and make it happen. So yeah, that's mine. On the last episode, we asked our lovely, lovely listeners, what steps do you take to sew more sustainably? And we got some great answers.
Yes, we did. First of all, Lisa, Button, and Bobbin on Instagram told us, I'm trying to get into the habit of snipping my threads with scissors when I finish each seam, rather than using the thread cutter on the machine. It saves time by eliminating the need to trim threads later, plus it means I waste less thread.
Oh,
See, I love that.
I would have never thought of that.
And you know what I do? Okay, I'm sorry, I have to throw in a tip right here. I save all of my thread ends and all of my, like if I pull thread off bobbins and everything like that, I save it, I put it in a little plastic baggie, and then I use it to stuff pin cushions, which just, it eliminates some waste. And it really does, it makes a good stuffing. So
awesome.
I have one next to all of my sewing machines. I have usually a mug, and then I put a plastic baggie inside the mug to keep everything really contained. And then when I get enough, I can stuff a pincushion with it.
Oh, man, I just throw my thread ends on the floor. I thought that's what you did.
Yeah.
Well, I would if I didn't have carpeted floors everywhere.
It's different. We also got a comment from Sew Tanita. She said, great episode. Thank you. I'm already a huge fan of buying dead stock, mending, and sewing for holes in my wardrobe. Always looking out for more sustainable sewing practices. We didn't really get to dive too far into mending, but I do think that's a really important part of the sustainable sewing kind of. It's an important thing to consider, and it's not the most fun kind of sewing to do, but it's very useful.
I hate doing it.
Very practical.
But it's,
yes, but it is very practical.
Yep.
And sometimes it gets as an opportunity for a new feature, which makes it a little bit more fun for me.
I tend to embroider very small motifs over holes in clothes.
Yeah.
So if you ever see me with a random bit of embroidery that doesn't look like it matches, there's probably a hole under it.
I always just put a stud on it. I have a bunch of leftover studs,
rivet.
and
Just a
I do
rivet.
that.
Also a good option.
Just rivet it.
Put a little eyelid in
Is that
there.
a sewing pun? Yeah. Rivet it. Oh, and so we got another comment too on Instagram from Dino Senzo. Thrifting fabric, upcycling, and mending. Also using ruined sheets for muslin. And getting the fit right so I will wear it many times. Also, pattern hacking. I really probably don't need any more patterns either.
Oh, man.
Don't we all? Thoughtful project selection, so I will get a lot of wear out of the item, which is really great. So just being, conscious of what you're making and, will I wear this? How many times? I'm getting the fit right. Yeah, so it's not just a
I like
throwaway.
how all of these are just little things you can do, but
Exactly.
they all have an impact.
Exactly. No, totally. Yeah, no, anything.
It doesn't. You don't have to overhaul every, your whole sewing process.
You don't have to do it all.
Yeah,
Just
little things.
Every little bit.
I love
Every
that.
little bit counts. And I love that whole using old sheets as muslins. I totally do that too.
Yeah, I love that. Well, this episode, we want to know, what sewing skills do you want to improve? So share your thoughts and insights on our at Sew and Tell Pod Instagram feed or on the show notes page. A couple quick reminders, too. Thinking about sewing skills, don't forget about our discount code for sewing classes. And also, June is our Pagosa Pants sew along for Sew News.
Pagosa Pants.
That's right. So that's at videos.sewdaily.com, and it's a free pattern, free video, and there's a sewing machine giveaway you can enter.
Yes, and you can watch me and Amanda teach you how to make these pants, and we are pretty Awkward and adorable.
I would agree with that assessment. Indeed. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, I know when I was watching, because I was watching the sew along, and it's usually me just talking at you guys doing this podcast on the screen. And so when I was watching you, I was like wanting to like talk to you, being like, it's just like you're saying something. I'm like, oh my gosh, totally.
That's funny.
Yeah, definitely.
Funny, yeah.
Oh, and also don't forget to keep an eye on our Instagram page for some jumpsuit goodies.
So many goodies coming at you.
Jump over for some. I tried, guys.
No, that was so good. All right, everybody. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Happy stitching. For links to everything we talked about in this episode, go to our show notes page at sewdaily.com/sewandtell. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at sewandtellpodcast@fwmedia.com or visit us on Instagram at sewandtellpod. Answer the Sew and Tell question, tell us your SewJo, or just leave us some feedback. If you enjoyed our show, please subscribe on your podcasting platform of choice. And please leave us a review, ideally a good one, because that helps listeners like you find our podcast. And tell your sewing friends about us too. Thanks for listening, and happy stitching. Sew and Tell is a production of F&W Media Studios. It is produced by Meg Healy, Amanda Carestio, and me, Kate Zaynard. Our consulting producer is Ron Doyle, and our executive producer is Jared Mayer.